Welcome, everybody, to Populist Politics. My name is Bobby Funk, your host. On Populist Politics, we are unapologetically right wing. We get into a lot of incredibly important news stories on this show. So, if you want to stay informed, I would advise you to hit the like button, follow me real quick, and you can become a part of my community that I'm building. If you want to stay involved in the news and talk about really important topics, I am the news show for you. We're going to get into Iran today on this beautiful Friday. We're also going to touch on this Todd Blanche Senate confirmation holdup and how it reflects the broader Trump administration failures and just our inability to get anything done as Republicans. We have had the White House, the Senate in the House for almost 2 years, and we have failed to pass any significant legislation that furthers the agenda that Trump promised us when he won the 2024 election. We're also going to talk about some world conflicts and policies in Spain as 60,000 migrants have flooded the Spanish enclave of Ceuta, Spain. So we're first going to get into Iran tonight. It's been still pretty relatively quiet in the Persian Gulf. If you watched my show on Wednesday on YouTube, if you want to go check that out, we talked about how the Persian Gulf was silent and the other areas of the conflict have ignited, mainly in Saudi Arabia, as the Shiites in Iraq and the Shiites in Yemen with the Houthis are strangling the Saudi economy and trying to prevent them from exporting their oil. We're going to talk more about that tonight, but we're also going to get into another development that's happened in this part of the war, as another country is now involved in that part of the war. First, let's go back to the Persian Gulf. On Wednesday, the Trump administration, the U.S. forces, hit Qeshm Island, an important military island off Iran that carries much of their military infrastructure, their command centers, their drone and missile production facilities. And these are also areas where they launch their ballistic missiles towards Gulf targets as well as shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. And in response, they have been hitting two primary U.S. bases, one in Jordan and one in Kuwait. The Jordan air base is in Azraq, and the Kuwait one is called Ahmad el-Jaber. Jaber, I think, is how you pronounce it. But those two U.S. bases are primarily getting hit by projectiles in response to this Qeshm Island ordeal. Moving along to the other aspects that I touched on, the main thing that has been happening is that Egypt is now getting hit. Egypt owns the SUEZ Canal, which is an important shipping route opposite the Red Sea that Saudi uses to ship their oil off to Europe through the Mediterranean Sea. And there was 2 LNG tankers that were hit by projectiles, drones. And nobody has claimed responsibility for this, but my prediction is it's got to be the Houthi rebels. Now you ask, why do I not think it's straight from Iran? Because if Iran sent a drone over to Egypt and the Suez Canal, it would likely be detected and intercepted by either Israel. If it went through their airspace, they definitely shoot it down. If it went through Jordan, the U.S. military would have definitely shot it down. So the only likely area where this drone could have came from is in Yemen. They have a port called Hudaydah where they shoot missiles at the Red Sea. So that would be the likely spot for a strike on the Suez area, just looking at military trajectory and common sense geopolitics. So the Houthis, I'm going to say it, the Houthis attacked the Suez Canal, these LNG vessels, and that would further constrain Saudi's oil economy because now the Houthis have cut off Saudi from both exit points in the Red Sea. The Suez Canal is in the north, and in the south you have the Bab el-Mandeb Straits that sends oil off to Asia, and like I said, the Suez Canal sends their oil to Europe. So they're constricting Saudi exports, and this is going to further enrage Saudi Arabia. We know that they airstriked with the United States these Iraq forces that were shooting from Iraq to Riyadh, these popular mobilization forces, they're called. They're IRGC-backed forces in Iraq ever since the 2003 war. They've been split into factions. I talked about this on my show on Wednesday. So they are attacking Riyadh, and the Houthi rebels are attacking the other side of the ports, the Yanabu and Jazan ports. So it's further constraining the oil economy and Aramco, which is causing major problems for Saudi Arabia. And it's part of the two-front Iran strategy. What is Iran doing? They are hitting American bases in Kuwait and Jordan, and they're also strangling the world economy by hitting Saudi exports and commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Today they hit 2 more tankers that were supposedly being escorted by the United States military through the Persian Gulf. We haven't got a lot more information on how the United States was helping. Iran said that they had aerial support and they were able to turn back these commercial shipping away from the Strait of Hormuz. So we're only getting worse economic conditions. The price of oil is going to go up if the Suez Canal is officially blockaded by the Houthis. They haven't done that yet, but there's cause for concern that they might. And that would be a good strategy in Iran's case to do so. That's the main thing that's going on so far in the Iran war. We have 2 other stories to cover in the show tonight. The second one is Todd Blanche. So we all know that Pam Bondi was fired because she was making Trump look bad for the release of the Epstein files. As you remember, when Trump got into office, Pam Bondi sent those influencers to the White House. They got those show binders, which included many Epstein files that were already released to the public. And they all came out with their binders. We're going to have transparency. We're going to have the Epstein files released. And then Pam Bondi sitting at her desk, typing up her tweets going, The files are on my desk. And then, only to say 2 months later, that Epstein did not carry any client lists and that it was a hoax. The Epstein's files were a hoax. And then that prompted Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie to sign that discharge petition to release the full documents of the Epstein files that got us 3,000 pages of emails. And they said that there's 3,000 more that haven't been released, and they still failed to release it. And these co-conspirators were listed, and they weren't prosecuted by Pam Bondi, and everybody's been enraged by this, which caused Trump to fire Pam Bondi and implement the interim Todd Blanche, who was Trump's personal lawyer at one time. That is one of the Democrats and the Republicans' objections to Todd Blanche. They think that might be a conflict of interest. They're also worried about this anti-weaponization fund that Trump proposed as the IRS. Remember when the IRS released Trump's tax returns and then Trump sued the IRS for doing so for $10 million, I want to say. Or it might have been $1 billion. We'll have to check up on that. But nevertheless, this weaponization fund is being used to pardon January 6ers and people that have been persecuted by the Biden Justice Department. And Todd Blanche said that this weaponization fund has been abandoned, but these two rhinos, Cornyn and Tillis, have stated that they want that in writing for Todd Blanche to be able to be confirmed as the Attorney General of the United States. Trump today said he's going to pull back Todd Blanche's name until these two rhinos are out of office. So now there's further going to be no official Attorney General to the United States of America, and we're not going to get any prosecutions of these Epstein co-conspirators, particularly Lex Wexner, who helped Epstein traffic girls. We're not going to get him prosecuted because there's going to be no Attorney General. We're not going to get any more deportations, which arguably we're not doing this mass deportations campaign that Trump promised us. We were never doing that. We're only deporting a small fraction of what Trump promised in 2024. So it just keeps getting worse for Republicans as midterms come up. They are disenfranchising the voters that put Donald Trump into office. It's so frustrating and so angry, guys. The Republicans are not doing what they promised us, and the Trump administration is going into its second year, and midterms are coming up, and we're likely going to lose the House. Trump is going to get impeached, and it will all be over. And we might get a DSA president in 2028. We might get a radical leftist communist president in 2028. And what did we do with our 2024 mandate? We squandered it. We didn't do anything with it. We didn't pass the Save America Act. We didn't deport all illegal immigrants that crossed the border under Joe Biden. We didn't prosecute the Epstein files. It's a bunch of failure. Anyways, I digress on that topic. We're going to get into our final topic, which is what in the heck is happening in Spain? They're just letting everybody over the border. This Spanish enclave, Ceuta, Spain, is on the border of Morocco, a African country that was invaded by some Muslims and also Africans, and they crossed the border into Ceuta, 60,000 of them, some with criminal records, murderers, and the worst people ever crossing the border into Europe. And the reason they were able to cross this border into Europe is because the Spanish Supreme Court passed a law or a decision that said any migrant who crosses into Spain through water, seaborne, cannot be deported right away. And they have to be processed under asylum individually, case by case. So how long is that going to take? That's going to take years. And these people are going to be into Spain. And where are they going to go? They're going to move from this enclave to mainland Spain. And then because Spain is a Schengen country, which allows movement from European countries to European countries, Spain to France, France to Italy, and elsewhere in the European continent. These people are going to invade further into Europe, and they're going to spread more migrant violence. It's going to be the same thing as what happened in the United States under Joe Biden and what has happened in Europe since 2015 and even earlier. Europe and the United States has a mass immigration problem. They are importing third world criminals, replacing the white population with migrants. And it is rotting the European culture and creating third world countries all over. Europe might not exist in 20 years, and nobody's talking about it. Mass immigration is a total failure and a total abandonment of core values, Christian values, and it's just deplorable. All of it is deplorable. And as I have gotten all of that off my chest, it's just, guys, it's hurting. The news is sometimes a stressful thing to keep up with. You get a lot of stress when you're talking about important things and how the government is failing us. And yet, we have two choices that are bad. We have Republicans who usually don't do anything with their mandates, and you have the radical left communist lunatics as another choice. And these people are all out for personal gain. They don't care about the populist, about the body politic of the country, and what is most important to the American people, to the European citizen. All they care about is more votes. And Spain is deeply radical left government. The radical left government just wants voters any way possible. They want these military-aged men to swarm Spain, take over the country, and depopulate in third world Spain. These people are crazy, and they're out for power, and they're going to get power if we don't stop them. We are populist. We believe that we, the people, and the people of Europe should get to decide what happens in our countries and not be invaded by illegal immigrants. My next show, I'm going to talk about populism, why I chose to name my podcast Populist Politics. I'm also going to discuss the DSA, and we'll likely skip the Iran war. Hopefully nothing big happens that I have to cover it, but I have to get into more topics. The Iran war is definitely something we're going to follow, but it's frustrating me because there's not a simple solution to this ordeal. We have tried diplomatic means, we have tried military means, and nothing seems to be working. And I just think it has been a colossal mistake. But I'm excited to cover all the greatest stories of our day. So if you wouldn't mind, follow me on YouTube, follow me on Twitter, Funkinator_, and I will be providing great news coverage in a populist, ordinary person-centric format. And I hope you guys have a great Friday and a great week. Populist Politic out. Have a good one.